is going on YouTube? But Great Blades here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Shirogorov. I've heard it said both ways, so I'm not sure, but either the Quantum Ursus or the Ursus Quantum. Let's start with a measurement on the size. So the overall size of this is going to be looking at about 8.8 or 8.5 inches overall, with a, we'll call that 4.25 inches blade, and then 4.1 inches for the actual cutting edge. Do a measurement on the blade stock thickness here. So the blade stock thickness is going to be about 130 thousandths. Then we'll do a size comparison with the Demco 20.5 with my custom original goat scales on them. Those will be linked. That will be linked down below as well if you're interested. And then the QSP penguin. Oops. So this one's going to be significantly longer than both of the knives here. It is a full-size knife at, just under 9 inches, but it's relatively thin and relatively light, as I'll show here in a second, so it won't be too hard to carry. Quick little edit here. I realized I had forgotten to do the carry profile thickness with the comparison knives here, so I'll just edit that back in here real quick. But compared to the penguin, it is substantially thinner, so it won't be a problem to carry either in your pocket. And then compared to the 20.5, it is again even more substantially thinner, so it's not going to be a difficult item to carry in your pocket. Sorry about that, but back to the video. But we'll do a measurement on the weight here. So we're looking at 4.5 ounces, which really isn't terrible considering how big of a knife it is. That's not too bad. So this is a titanium frame lock with, this one in particular has black G10 inserts. It has a 3D machined tie pocket clip. This one is unfortunately just right hand, but they do make lefty versions for most of their knives. But it is tip up carry. Not that that bothers me in particular, but for some people it does. The blade is a flat ground. We'll call this a trailing point. Stonewashed. This one in particular is Chromax. If you can see that, is Chromax PM. And this one isn't really, that steel's not really used on many other things as far as I'm aware. I've only seen it on some Shirogorov knives. It was kind of described as being similar to LMAX, but then once, the composition was actually out and some people tested it, it's not quite that good, truthfully, compared to LMAX. It's still a plenty good steel, and I would still put it in the category of a super steel, but it's definitely pretty different, I'll say, rather, to LMAX. So that's something. But honestly, it's a fine steel. It'll do just fine. So not 100% sure because it seems to be different depending on the listing you're looking at, and even maybe which one, like inlay wise, you're looking at. But I've seen these listed as both single row bearing and multi row bearing. The person I'm borrowing this from, he says that this one is the single row bearing one. I didn't take it apart since this is not my knife. I just carried it a little bit, and some light use, some box, some tape cutting, things like that. Nothing too crazy, since it is not my knife. But it does cut very well. It has a nice, pokey tip there, and then obviously all that belly there for some slicing, which is really nice. And it does come down to a pretty thin edge. It is pretty comfortable. Really comfortable, I would say. You don't feel the pocket clip at all. Even squeezing down on it, I don't feel it. I do wish maybe this portion here was knocked down just a little bit more, just because with my hands in particular, my middle finger kind of falls right in there. I don't really want to choke up quite this high. I want to move it down just a little bit, and it kind of falls right on there. But that'll just be kind of dependent on your hand size and what grip you're going with here. But it is still really comfortable. There is just a little bit of jimping on the top part of the blade here. I guess it's fine. I do wish it was a little deeper though. It grips, but I feel like it could grip just a little bit better. It is just a little bit slippery for my preference here. But I guess in terms of length of the jimping, it's not too bad. It could be maybe a little bit longer, but still not terrible. This obviously is a frame lock, titanium frame lock with a steel insert, a flipper. This one definitely is a dedicated light switcher. I don't think you can really push button it. I'll try here. Keep my fingers off the thing here. That was still kind of a light switch. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's probably light switcher, not so much a push button. But the action is very smooth with those single row bearings. If you do release it up a little bit closer to the actual lock bar insert, and if you don't hold it quite long enough, you get a little bit of this double clutch here. But it's still smooth, and then if you just kind of move down just a little bit and hold it a second longer than maybe you think you need to, that goes away. And it is perfectly centered, and it is a light wiggle shut, which is nice. Not every knife needs to be a finger guillotine. What else here? The scales are flat with just a little bit of cuts in them, I guess, just for aesthetic purposes. But they're not contoured, they are flat. But all the edges around it, are chamfered, and there's no sharp edges on any of that part around the knife. When you buy these new, straight from Shirogorov or a retailer that sells them, they do come with the disassembly tool, I believe. But you also could just buy a spanner bit. It's not necessarily proprietary hardware, or just a thick flathead. You could honestly still get in there. So if you did lose the tool or something like that, or if yours didn't come with one, if you bought it on the secondary, don't worry about that too much. These ones aren't too bad. And this one here, the Ursus, Quantum Ursus, whichever, is kind of like Shiro's, I say budget in quotes, but less expensive variant of their regular Quantum. They saw that one sold really well, and so they, but people were asking for ones a little bit cheaper because those ones I think start at $700 or $700 or $800. This one is about $625, depending on the inlay, and if there is an inlay, what inlay it is, and also a little bit which retailer you're buying from. But they're about $625. And these are, of course, made in Russia. And Shirogorov does a really good job. This is the first one I'm handling. I'm handling, but just from being in the knife community long enough and watching enough reviews and things like that, Shirogorov, they do a really, really good job. I will say though, the only thing is, while it's unlikely to happen, right on the backside here, you can, even just flat, I'm not pushing my finger in, even just flat, you can run your finger up onto the very back portion of this blade here. And then obviously, even just like this, I'm not even digging my finger into it, just vertical, you can definitely feel that blade. It'd be very unlikely that you would run your finger over it because of just the position, but I guess if you slipped off the flipper tab here, it is hypothetically possible that you could slice your finger just a little bit on that. So I'd say just be careful of that, but I mean, I haven't had that issue. I've been carrying this a little over a week now, and I didn't have any issues with that, but in theory, it is technically possible, so just something to be cognizant of. Yeah, so this was lent to me by a friend of mine, and he was also the one, if you guys saw the unboxing, he lent me his Koenig Arius as well. Both of those knives were his. Very, very grateful to have such a nice, generous friend willing to lend me two very expensive knives to check out here. But because I probably wouldn't have otherwise just bought this. I mean, I do like Shiro and I do like some of their designs, but obviously the biggest part for me is the price point. While I've had knives, that are around that price range, it's just always more difficult for me to regularly buy a knife at that price point, especially when so many great budget knives exist, for, even under $200, you can find some really, really good knives, or even around $200, $250 we'll say. There's a lot of really good competition in that price point. But Shirogorov being one of the big names in the mid-tech and definitely way out of my price range, the full custom Shiros are insane. I mean, they are phenomenal to look at, but I don't think in my lifetime I'll ever be paying, $11,000 to $30,000 for a single custom knife. But if that's you, they do have that option if you do want a custom one. But even just this production run of the Quantum Ursus is phenomenal. After handling it and carrying it, I do think I probably will pick up one at some point, even if it's on the secondary. It is a really nice knife, and it carries really well in the pocket. Sometimes, depending on maybe this is just me, but sometimes depending on the jeans I was wearing, sometimes this clip just was a struggle to really work, to get in the pocket. Out of the pocket, it was no problem, but sometimes, depending on the jeans I was wearing, maybe I just wear some thicker jeans or something like that, but sometimes it didn't quite grab onto the lip of the pocket there so easily. Sometimes I had to kind of use two hands, and even then sometimes I had to kind of force it a little bit, but maybe that's just me. But otherwise it was easy and comfortable. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I mean, it is a very, very expensive knife, and if you're not in this price range, or comfortable in this price range, maybe give yourself some time. You don't have to climb the ladder of, starting with your budget knives, and then, you see a lot of knife tubers and, just people on the internet in the EDC and knife community, you don't have to jump that quickly. Take your time, enjoy, because like I said, there are a lot of things in between, a Shiro and everything below it that are really, really good knives. But if you are at that price range and you're comfortable with it, I definitely do recommend it. Very phenomenally built, excellent slicer. But yeah, I think that's going to be just about it. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and let me know your comments down below. What do you think about the Shiro? Do you have this knife? Do you like Shiros? Do you have other Shiros? What do you think about them? Be sure to subscribe, because I'll be posting more videos as well. No stopping yet. I still have plenty of knives to review. And if I start having more generous friends like this that'll send me a couple knives every now and then, that'll also give me some additional content and some other knives that I won't have my hands on personally. But that's going to be it. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.